Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie.
Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. For more information on how the CCIDA can assist your business, visit choosechq.com.
From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
Is getting vaccinated on your to-do list? We can help you check it off because we make getting vaccinated easy. You've got this because we've got you. To learn more, visit yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
And a good sunrise it was this morning, everyone. The weather the last couple of days has been like my summer weather. Just beautiful. Lower humidity and the temps in the 70s, just beautiful. Today's going to be one of those days as well, and it looks like tomorrow as well. So enjoy all the good things that are going on right now. Well, welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and the crew and I are glad to be here, and we've got a really nice program in store for you when we talk about aging services. You might say, why would we talk about old people? Because there's a lot of us. And things to be thinking about as you age. You know, a lot of people don't think about that. They just think, well, you know, when I get there, I get there. Well, planning is always a good thing. And if you're working with family members that are aging, you're going to hear some things today that will help you maybe as a provider and a member of the family and so on. So good show coming up. So stick around. Okay, good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for tuning in. It's always nice to be able to spread the word over on that side of the world. And I know we have listeners over there, so thanks for listening, and always feel free to send us comments or suggestions via email, which will pop up here in a second. Those listening on the radio, of course, can't see it, but I'm going to read it to you, so here it goes. Throughout the week and throughout today, you can give us a call live from 9 to 10 this morning from 716-753-5225. And those, again, if you're listening on the radio and you say, well, I'd like to put a comment or we have an announcement, email me, Chautauqua Sunrise, all one word, at gmail.com. Chautauqua Sunrise, all one word, at gmail.com, and we'll get it on. As you know, we have a variety of announcements every week, and those come by email or people will call or whatever, and it's our job. It's what we do here, okay? Good afternoon to our listeners over in Europe, Belgium, Holland, Germany, throughout the world. You know, the world, it's not that big anymore, and it's amazing how much information we can share, and I know people are watching us from time to time. So welcome all of you from around the world, Natalia in the Ukraine. I say every week, our thoughts are with all of the Ukrainians and what's going on, and I'll leave it there, as I always do. Okay? All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right, so I just got a few opening comments. So yesterday was August 1st. How did that happen? I say that every year. It's like, what? So we're about halfway through the summer. The good news is the first half was pretty darn hot. The second half looks a little cooler, a little less humid. But boy, oh boy, I don't like to do the old bragging thing, but when I look at the weather across the country right now, and even into Europe, because our friends from Germany were here, they were saying they hit 104 one day in Germany. It's like, huh? How's that possible? So, we're hot, but it's, I'll take it compared to some of the other folks that are dealing with flooding and all kinds of rain and, tornado season, I guess, is starting to kick in. So, appreciate what you got here. It's really good. So anyways, happy August. It's the 2nd. With that, I also want to remind you that today I will be playing at the Westfield Farmers and Artisans Market from 11 to 1. And, I don't play that often anymore. I do a few sessions here with folks as backup, and if I get a call now and then, I do something. I've been playing for 58 years. I know it seems like a long time, but I get a call every now and then, and it's just really fun to gear up again and get ready for a gig. And I'll be doing songs probably from my career that I've picked out that are just fun. I've added a couple of songs I've never played before out solo, that is. So I'm not gonna tell you what they are, but maybe it'll come off okay, so maybe they won't, I don't know. I've rehearsed quite a bit. But as a musician, you like to bring in other music, and I think of some of these bands that have been around for all like 50 years, like the Rolling Stones. And how many times can you play Satisfaction? I mean, it would drive me crazy. I got to bring in new material all the time. So, anyways, 11 to 1 today, the Farmers Market, right in the heart of Westfield. Come on over, say hi. I'm glad to see you. Okay. Also at the market today, I have to put a plug in for the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, my own home club. They have a raffle going on, and they're going to be picking a winner today. They're giving away a really nice barbecue set. I'm not sure what the brand is, but they're selling tickets, and I'm told at 2 o'clock they're going to pick the ticket winner. So if you go over there, I would encourage you to spend a couple dollars and get a ticket, and maybe you'll win a really nice barbecue set. Justin, you guys got a barbecue set? Sort of. Yeah, well, that's most of us. We sort of have one. It's like on its last leg, or the grills are getting all nasty, or it's rusting out. So just a thought, for a couple dollars probably you can get a nice one if you're the winner. I don't get into a lot of political statements, but this is just sort of a backward comment. I've been reading about PBS, and the funding has been cut for whatever reason. And people might say, well, you're public access. Well, yeah, we are public access, but we're not PBS. All right, so as far as I know, Chuck Kelsey, if you're watching, I'm sure you're going to back me up on this. Chuck is the grandfather of the studio, and the others, Devin Taylor and others. We are not funded by federal money whatsoever, so we are not affected. So as far as I know, as long as I can get up every Saturday morning and the crew's still getting along with me okay, we're going to keep going for a while, okay? You good with that, Justin? Okay.
That's what Chris was telling me.
Right. Okay. So anyways, you're going to hear things, and we're happy to be able to do this, and it's free of charge, and it comes through franchise fees. It's a long story, but anyways, it's funded locally, and we're happy to continue to be the only live TV show in Chautauqua County, which is always amazing to me. All right, this one is kind of a weird one. I am now in a very select club, and it's called I Hit a Deer and Survive Club. 2 nights ago, Barb and I were just coming back from dinner out in Pennsylvania, and we are in the far right lane on Route 20, 4 lanes of traffic. How in the world a deer can come from the far left, get through the first 2 lanes without getting hit, go through the 3rd lane, not get hit, because there was cars all over the place, and next thing I know, it's in front of our vehicle. And it's amazing how much repairs cost. So anyways, I just caution you, because I talked to the insurance company, I talked to the repair shop, and it's, I guess right now hitting deers is like through the roof. People are hitting them left and right. So please, I don't have an answer, because this happened like in a blink of an eye. That's how fast it was. I didn't even see where it came from. It's just, there it was. And it's really a horrible feeling when you go through all that. But just be mindful. I always tell Barb, just yell. I don't care, right, left, whatever. I'll hit the brake. I'll do whatever. But all these years I've been driving, I've dodged thousands of deers, but this one didn't happen to go right. And so I just caution you this time of year. It just seems like there's a lot of deer on the road, and be careful. I pulled into the repair shop, and it looked like 3 or 4 other vehicles had the same problem. Front grille missing. So, anyways, yeah. All right. Jeff's laughing on the other side of the wall. I think we all know people. Sadly, I think everybody in my family in the last 2 years has hit a deer. So it's pretty wild. Just as a general remark, Chautauqua County right now is alive, and it's festive, and there's just all kinds of things going on. I announced just a smattering of some of these events that we get information on, but I encourage you to check the newspapers and your Facebook pages and things like that, and we'll be touching on some of those things. So anyway, Chautauqua County is a lot of fun things going on. And here's just a few of them I want to mention. The Ripley Library is having its book sale starting today, and to the 16th I think I read. And you might say, why would I buy a book? Oh gosh, I love books. And I always have to whisper quietly to a librarian that I dog-ear my pages. And they go, what? Well, I do. Anyways, but you can get books for a really good price, and probably you might find that book that you say, I always want to read, that anthology of Moby Dick or The Hobbit or whatever. So get out there and check your libraries. They're having book sales. I know Mayville often has one as well. All right, what else is going on? What does that say? Hang on a second. I can't even read my own writing. Oh, yes, I want to welcome back the intrepid travelers, Randy and Chris Burt. They were out in California, and they were trying to get on The Price is Right, that show with Drew Carey. So we're going to have an upcoming show, and they're going to share all their experiences in California, but we're going to do that later on in September when we can schedule them. Okay, so let's see, anything else here I wanted to mention? Okay, so I'm going to get to my regular announcements that have come in, so stay tuned. Here we go. Ready, Jeff? Start with slide 15. Chautauqua County Partnership for Economic Development, called CPEG, and Chautauqua County Department of Planning and Development are pleased to announce that 5 world-renowned muralists have been selected to paint 4 large-scale public murals during the inaugural Paint Mural Festival slated for the 2nd week of September. All right, this is kind of interesting. Announced in February, the Paint Chautauqua is a new initiative intended to help focus on the important role public art plays in placemaking and strengthening local communities. For the inaugural year, 4 communities have been selected to host the new murals. They are Dunkirk, Faulkner, Sherman, and Westfield. Coordinating the effort is Alexandra Hall from AH Public Spaces Consulting, who has assisted with other community mural projects around the country. Now, after reviewing requests for qualifications from a number of candidates, the Paint CHQ advisory team settled on 5 different artists for this year's event. Okay, so in Dunkirk, you're going to see Alan Welter from Luxembourg. Faulkner has Mandy Caskey, also known as Miss Birdie from Columbus, Ohio. In Sherman, Emily Ding from Houston. Oh, I see, that's where the 5th one comes in. And Justin Suarez, also known as Aerosol Kingdom, are coming in from Rochester. And in Westfield, Dom Laporte of Drift Mural Company of Ottawa, Ontario. Okay, we have a statement here that says, we're excited to have these nationally and internationally recognized muralists coming to Chautauqua County in September to create public art for each participating community. It's exciting to think that in less than 2 months from now, our county will have not 1, but 4 separate pieces of public artwork created by professional muralists that will help to enhance our communities and generate renewed pride for our residents. Okay, so I'm going to keep you posted on this, but if you want more information, you can always call the CPEG at 661-8900. Okay, so that's kind of neat. If you go to Erie, Pennsylvania, down in some of the industrial areas, but you'll see Little Italy, or you'll see maybe the Oriental section, and they had these great big beautiful murals on the wall. So it's kind of nice to see communities showing off their good sides. Okay, let's go on to slide 16. Everything going to be great to show at the Regillin A. Everything's going to be great is going to be shown Wednesday, August 6th at 7. It's a comedy, drama film starring Bryan Cranston and Allison Janney. The Smart, that's her name, Smart family's life takes a dynamic turn when tragedy forces them to confront their oversized dreams. Struggles with identity and chaotic regional theater life. As theater manager, parents work to support their two sons, a hunky football star and his flamboyant, theater-loving younger brother. Unexpected circumstances compelled them to move in with Janie's estranged brother, played by Chris Cooper. What begins as a temporary arrangement, of course, soon unravels years of familial tension, promoting each member to reevaluate their place in the world and in their relationship. Everything's Going to Be Great is rated R. It's 95 minutes long. You know, there's some things coming up that you might want to check out. The sci-fi sequel, it's M3 GAN, it looks like Megan 2.0 is going to be August 13th. It's a live action remake of How to Train. I gotta go with my comments here. The live action remake How to Train Your Dragon, that's gonna be really good, August 20th at 2 p.m. And Tom Hiddleston in the Stephen King fantasy drama The Life of Chuck, August 27th. Tickets are generally $8 in person and $10 online. And if you want more information, give me a call at 484-7070. We may have a rainy day or something like that during that season, so it might be a fun day to check out the theater and watch some really fun shows. All right, we got some events coming up that you're only probably going to hear about right here. So let's go to Sherman. Today and tomorrow is Sherman Day weekend. The annual Sherman Day celebration takes place the first Saturday of August, which is today, featuring a parade, vendors, chicken barbecue, family events, and live music. I played there a couple years ago. Really nice. Friday night feature, all right, they already did that. Saturday includes a 5K run walk, parade, volleyball tournament, games, bounce houses, axe throwing, and dunk booth. Not at the same place. No. A duck race, which I'm not sure about, horse and wagon rides, petting zoo, live music, and a whole lot more. And then tomorrow's features a car cruise and live music. It's just fun to be in Chautauqua County. All right, so sounds like a great time. Go visit Sherman, New York. I love Sherman. It's a great little town. All right, let's see what else is going on this weekend. America's Grape Country Craft Beverage Festival. It's being held right now. Today and tomorrow at Chautauqua County Fairgrounds. It started yesterday. It's over on Central Avenue in Dunkirk. The America's Grape Country Craft Beverage Festival is a two-day event which started yesterday, featuring wineries, distilleries, and breweries from around New York and Pennsylvania. Held at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds, attendees can enjoy live music, a classic car show, and specialty food, lifestyle, and craft vendors. You can also camp on the premises for maximum fun and learn from the wine and food experts. Okay? And let me see if there's anything more on that. Let's see, hang on a second. So, let's see. So today from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the actual festival, and afterwards there's from 6 to 10 is after hours party. And tomorrow it continues on from 12 to 5. All tickets purchased include access to the Saturday night after hours and so forth. So there you have it. Go to the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds and go to the America's Grape Country Craft Beverage Festival. All right, and then this other one here is honoring Purple Hearts heroes. I know this is a project that a friend of mine, Jim Kurtz, who watches the show quite often, has been involved with. So let's see what's going on. It says here, on the first Saturday, which is today, Chautauqua County proudly observes Purple Heart Day, a solemn occasion to recognize and honor the brave men and women who were wounded or killed while serving in the United States Armed Forces. This day of reflection and gratitude traces back to one of the nation's oldest and most distinguished military awards, the Purple Heart. Originally established by George Washington on August 7, 1782, as a badge of military merit, The modern Purple Heart was revived in 1932 and is awarded in the name of the President of the United States to those wounded or killed in action against an enemy of the United States. It is a symbol not only of sacrifice and bravery, but of the enduring commitment of American service members to defend freedom at all costs. In Chautauqua County, and listen to this, that commitment has come at a heavy price. According to local records, at least 771 veterans from our community have received the Purple Heart. 771 people from Chautauqua County. Ready? World War I, 91. World War II, 518. Korean War, 63. The Vietnam War, 91. Gulf War, 1. Afghanistan, 3. Iraq, 3. Global War on Terror, 1. These numbers reflect more than military engagement. They reflect personal sacrifice, family hardship, and the deep-rooted patriotism that defines Chautauqua County. Okay, and this is from P.J. Wendell, our county executive. He says, our Purple Heart recipients are heroes in the truest sense. They have endured the unimaginable in service to our country. Purple Heart Day is a reminder that freedom is never free and that our community will never forget the names, the stories, and the sacrifices of those who bore the wounds of war on our behalf. Okay, and we thank all of those who have a Purple Heart. And now I'm going to take a moment to digress. I'm going to tell you a really fast story. About 8-9 years ago, my oldest son, Scott, was in the service, and he sent a picture to us. It was one of those formal pictures, you know, where they get in their dress uniform. And my father-in-law says to my wife, oh, I see he got it. And Barb said, what are you talking about? He said, well, his Purple Heart. We didn't know that Scott had been wounded, and he never told us. That's what Purple Heart recipients don't do. They don't talk about it. They don't share it. They just do their job. So on behalf of our family and others, I want to thank Purple Heart heroes and also obviously all service people that have served our country, as we often do. So thank you. And finally, this is going on today, the return of the Chautauqua Region Vintage Book, Paper, and Collectibles Show and Sale. The show takes place today, and every first Saturday of the year is held at Chautauqua Suites right here on 394 in Mayville from 10 to 4. It will provide over 35 dealers drawing from Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Rochester, and Cleveland that deal in primarily vintage books and papers, collectibles, ephemera, I can't say that word, paper stuff, including postcards, photographs, prints, I gotta practice that one, advertising posters, historical items, both local and beyond, sports memorabilia, and the like, supplemented with a variety of other antique collectibles to provide things of interest for most everyone. Okay, so if you had watched our show a while back, Bob Johnson was here, and he talked about the restoration of Trolley 93. And that's his project with a bunch of other folks, and this whole event helps to fund that restoration of trolley cars in Chautauqua County. It's only $5 to get in, and you can talk to people, bring your old books or whatever, get a price on it, and so forth. And so that's today over at the Chautauqua Suites. So I will be quiet, and we're going to take a little breather, and my guest and I will be right back. Stay tuned.
And convenience while keeping an eye on food safety
and learning to move more. Whether online or in person,
connect with us today.
Okay, I want to welcome back to the show someone that you've seen from time to time, Dana Corwin, who is the Executive Director of the Office
for Aging Services.
I'm getting there. I'm slow today. I'm part of the Office for Aging Services. I was going, Office for Aging Services. Jeez,
you've got the professional timing.
I always tell people, relax, I'll get there sooner or later. So good morning, Dana. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Chautauqua County, isn't there?
So many things going on in Chautauqua County. I've been on the show before, and people that know me know that I'm not originally from here. My family's been here for just under 20 years, but it always amazes me
Yeah.
how much there is to do. I mean, all of these things. The trolleys, we had a chance in our office to utilize the trolleys at our May event, which was for Older Americans Month celebration. We did a big, what we called the CHQ Aging Expo and Conference. It was the first time we did that. And we had the trolleys pick people up from the parking lots at SUNY Fredonia and then bring them into the Williams Center. So they are so important. Go to that paper show, $5, $5.
What a deal.
And they're so much fun to use. And every time we can use the trolleys from CHQ Transit, we really try to. We used them last year during the flu clinic season to pick up people in downtown Jamestown.
Nice.
And the participants that got to ride the trolleys and come down and get their vaccine, their flu shot, they were just so thankful. They were like, we didn't get a chance to ride this, or we haven't, done this in so long.
Yeah,
So,
it's fun.
and the murals,
Isn't that cool?
we've got a mural being painted right now in Westfield and a beautiful one here in Mayville. So I'm just making notes all over the place about different things.
So the Office for the Aging Services has been around. Can you give us the thumbnail sketch of how long it's been around and why it's around?
It's been around, I want to say this is our 53rd year, but don't count me on the math. I was just, I brought some information that the Older Americans Act, which is the federal legislation that puts in place the AAAs, or the Area Agencies on Aging, turned 60 in June. So 1965, that landmark legislation from the federal government that put forth all of the pieces.
Now we've been through the Johnson era.
I believe it was. I believe it was. So all of that is coming up, and there's a lot going on all over the place in aging services. We were talking a little bit before the show just about, how the United States and the counties are all dealing with an aging population. And I say dealing with, not that it's a bad thing or a burden, it's just we are starting to really understand the ramifications of the numbers that we'll be dealing with in an aging population. And in that, the Area Agency on Aging's job is to really work with our planning group, our advisory council, and the public to plan for how they want to age in place in Chautauqua County. So it's really important.
I mentioned a little bit in my intro that that a lot of people should be interested in what you're going to be talking about today, because it's just not for the senior.
Yeah.
It's for all the people around you and service providers and stuff. And I've often asked this question, and people are always surprised with your answer. Define senior. What is this? Who is a senior?
Well, first of all, about 8 years ago, I guess it was, we actually changed our name. We used to be Chautauqua County Office for Aging.
Right, and I had to change that in my brain too. That's why I
And
always
it's-
stop for a
yes.
second, say, make sure I
Kind
get
of
the services in there.
readjust.
That's what that pregnant pause was.
So with our advisory council, we were really looking at what's coming, down the pike, so to speak, with our aging group here in Chautauqua, and trying to understand the best we can how to serve them. And we thought to ourselves, the advisory council, and I want to say it was Russ Dietrich that came up with the name, that said, it's not just for the aging. We are all aging. I'm aging, you're aging, you're aging. There's really none of us that aren't aging, that are upright and breathing. So we really wanted to make the name stand for the fact that we offer programs, information services, we connect, we advocate for all Chautauqua County residents that are aging in place, that are taking care of neighbors and friends and loved ones. So, there's a lot of information out there. I would say probably the way I look at it is you've got the young old,
So define
the middle.
what's the young old?
I
How
would
do you
say 60 to 70-ish, 75, and then 75 to about 90, and then 90 above. Believe it or not, we have folks in this county that reach over 100 years old.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Good, clean living with lots of things to do.
Yeah, my dad was 94. My father-in-law was almost
Absolutely.
99.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a lot.
Yeah, my dad was 93 when he
There you
passed
go.
away, and and grew up in a totally different climate. But the beautiful thing about Chautauqua County is definitely the environment we live in. Good, clean living, good morals in the community, working to keep our communities clean, to keep people engaged, just all these different things that you talked about. One of the biggest challenges as we grow older, and I would dare say this really extends to all age groups now, is staying engaged. Technology takes us away from each other. in some respects with phones.
Go to
and
a
apps.
restaurant sometime and just sit quietly and look around, especially if the light in the room is sort of low and you see all these glowing
see the glow?
faces. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that respect, I encourage people to remember to talk to each other, to say hello and greet
How
each
was
other.
your day, or
How
what's
was your
going
day?
on?
What's
Yeah,
new?
yeah,
What's up
yeah.
with your kids? How's that garden growing?
Right.
We're in the middle of the summer, so staying engaged is so important for our health in any age, but particularly as we grow older, because we kind of lose some of our family. So many folks I've talked to have said, well, a lot of my family's gone. They've either moved away or passed away, an older generation.
When I used to visit my dad, as I said, he was in his 90s. My mom had passed away, so Dad was by himself for 5 years. And one of the things that I always remember was before I left, he just squeezed the juice out of me.
Yeah.
And I thought about that for a while, and I thought, I'm probably the only person he does. Because, well, I don't know if my brother or, somebody occasionally came by, but every week I would go visit with him and help him with his finances and things.
Absolutely.
But, it's that whole marasmus, remember that? With the children that don't really expand and grow because there's no human touch.
There's no connection.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I always remember that, I can feel it right now, was that Dad needed human touch.
That human touch, absolutely. And, many of the services we provide are for people that are socially isolated for a lot of reasons, whatever those reasons are. But think about our home delivered meal drivers. They might be the only person that person sees once or twice or 3 to 4 to 5 times a week. And not only is the nutrition important of that service of home delivered meals, but the interaction that they get. The relationship
They look
that's
forward to
developed.
it.
They absolutely look forward to it. I got a chance to ride along with our Jamestown Meals on Wheels and our Dunkirk Fredonia home delivered meals this past May, and I just had a wonderful time. And the volunteers that I got to drive with were just fantastic people, definitely committed to enriching other people's lives. And that's what we're really all about.
I don't think I ever told you this story. I like to share these things from time to time, and then I don't want to take up your time, but I think this fits. When I was in college, I didn't have any money, and so I had to have little part-time jobs. I worked for 5 widows.
Very good.
And when I was done working, whether I was gardening or painting or whatever, they said, come on, and sit down and have a glass of water or whatever.
Exactly.
And they would tell me stories of their lives, and they just
It's
became
amazing.
young again,
Yes.
and they would share, their children's stories or their husbands that had passed away. And so, we all need to have that connection.
Yeah.
We thrive. We need it.
We absolutely do. And, there's national reports that say social isolation is as bad as smoking. For many, many years. So
you get depressed and your health goes down, sure.
absolutely, you kind of lose the will to participate or think that you're by yourself. And we really want people to know that you're not by yourself. It's funny because I brought this
Yes,
as
this is the
as
first
a
time I've
visual.
ever had one of these on my show. Road Atlas.
Road Atlas. This was a funny story I was sharing with Doc, but we want you all to understand that the Office for Aging Services is really your road atlas for aging services in the community. We're here to do work in and around care in the community, to enrich people's lives, to connect them to services, to advocate for situations where we might need more services. And we really want you to call us and talk to us. We're planning a bunch of different things. The first thing I want to tell you about is that our Dunkirk office moved. So for many, many years, I want to say for 50 years or so, we've been at the Dunkirk Senior Center
Right,
in
I've been
Dunkirk.
there, yeah.
And as we've grown, as the need has grown, we've needed more and more space. So we've actually moved to 51 East 3rd Street in Dunkirk. I had to write it down so I would remember. And we're kind of tucked on the other side of the Chautauqua Center. So we're not in the Chautauqua Center, but we're across the street between the ACL Quest Lab and Chautauqua PTOT Speech. And we've got a great sign right there, so we encourage you all to come and see us. We're going to be having an open house and a ribbon cutting. We just need to set the date. But we just moved this last month.
Well, be sure to send
So
us that. We'll announce it.
We will. So there's just lots of things
So
going
what
on.
goes on in that center?
Well, we have, we're lucky enough to have 3 offices. We have one in Jamestown, within the Chautauqua Center, the Chautauqua Center at 107 Institute Street in Jamestown, 2nd floor. And then we're right here in Mayville in the HRC building. And then we have this new spot in Dunkirk on 51 East 3rd Street. So anybody can call us, walk in, email, and ask what's going on, what kind of services are available. They can share what's happening in their lives. One of the words you said I wrote down because I always talk about it, and that is plan. You know, we can help you plan to stay healthy. We can help you plan to stay engaged in the community. And we are available to help you plan, you know, to maintain yourself for as long as possible independently.
Well, you know, the first thing that always pops up is people say, fine, how much is it going to cost?
Right, right. And the Office for the Aging, particularly the New York Connects program, which is an Aging and Disability Resource Center, they're the place where we send everybody. So we, in every publication we have, it says, call New York Connects.
Yeah, watch this. Jeff, thank you.
7534582. That's great. New York Connects is our kind of one-stop phone call that you can make to find out what you might need. It might be...
For those listening, tell them what it is on the radio.
716-753-4582. And it's our main phone number, and you will get one of our 3 operators. There's an operator sitting at each location now. We're very pleased to have gotten a hold of a wonderful gal that's joined our group, Luz. She is a bilingual Spanish-speaking native, and she's our New York Connects person in Dunkirk. And then we have a lovely person named Carrie in Mayville, and we have a wonderful person named Jen who's been with us forever for a few years in Jamestown, and then we have Becky as well. So all of that staff is committed to answering your questions about aging, getting you information about what kind of assistance is out there, connecting you to programs and benefits. They're just a great group, and what they do is they ask you, so what's going on today? What are you calling about? And it might be for something very specific, like how do I find information about health insurance, or I need help at home, or I need a home delivered meal, or I'm bored, or I'm lonely, what can I do? And these ladies are specially trained to kind of hear what the request is and address that, but also ask questions to find out what else you might be eligible for and may not know about.
You know, and that's the funny thing is that exactly right is a lot of times people they're calling for one thing and didn't realize, are you kidding? I didn't know I could get that, or you know, the Dining Out program, or you know, or the various events that you all put on, you know, and things. So that's what a resource.
If we had a nickel for every time I heard that, and when we do presentations, we use that word plan, and we say not only what we think of when we say plan, but it's also please look at this now, because if you know what's available and you know that you have access to it when you're ready for it, it's just planning out, you know, what you need to do to maintain your health.
So when should you start planning?
I think you should start planning now. I know I'm starting to plan.
What do you mean now? I mean, who's watching now? I mean, when you're
I say really any age, you need to start looking at how to age well in the community. If you're a caregiver, call and see. You know, it was interesting. I talked to, I'm sure my husband's listening because we were talking about this, and I said, you know, you're a caregiver. And he goes, no, I'm not. I'm a son. I'm a father. I'm a this. People don't realize that they're caregivers. Caregiving can be very intense, or it could just be a little bit of assistance. How many of us check on our neighbors? You know, grab their mail, say, do you need something picked up? Well, technically that makes you a caregiver. It doesn't diminish the ability of the person that you're interacting with. It just means you're available to help. You're an extension of a system. So if you're a caregiver, if you're caring for someone in the community, and that could be someone in your family, it could be a neighbor, it could be a friend. It could be somebody in another state, because each state has one of these aging and disability resource centers that you can call and connect with services. If you're an older adult and you've just retired, or if you have health insurance questions, or if you need help in the home, just there's so many things that we could go through, but really what we want you to do is connect with our office. And this year we've been doing a bunch of different things just about every month so that we can reintroduce ourselves and let you get used to knowing us. You know, we had the big CHQ Expo, and we had to think about 500 people come to that. It rained like the dickens, but that's okay. We survived, curly hair and all, but we had a great opportunity to interact with over 90 vendors of programs, services, and benefits. And then we had short classroom breakout sessions on different topics like Alzheimer's and scams and other things, nutrition. So, you know, coming to those things is part of understanding what's available to you. A lot of times we wait until the shoe falls, and then there's an emergency, and then that's a problem, and it is a problem for people. And we do our best to walk them through steps that they should take. but we are not technically emergency services. We're not an emergency room or a doctor's office, but we can advise people and help them understand of where they need to go.
You know, you shared a statistic, and I'm not trying to get ahead of you here, but people are saying, all right, well, you know, I know a few folks that are seniors and this and that, and we talked, and I mentioned the baby boomer generation, and people don't realize that we're the largest generation on the face of the earth that I'm aware of in total numbers. And so then how does that break down in Chautauqua County? Out of what, 125,000 people? What do we got?
I think we're about 129,000. So roughly, depending on which source you look at, older adults are about a third of that. So
1/3.
Yeah, about a third.
So that's 40,000.
Just under 40,000 is what we're looking at.
Wait a minute.
40,
40,000
40, 40,
people
wait,
are
40,
in-
80, 120. That's a little less than a third, but just about 39,000
So
older
you're
adults.
saying 39,000 to 40,000 people in Chautauqua County, as we're sitting here right now, are
Over the age of 60.
That's pretty.
That's
lot of
pretty
people.
high. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
And then when you think about how everybody is aging in this community, you have to think about, okay, as we age, what happens? What kind of things do we face? We face accident, we face illness, we face financial ramifications, right? Things that change. So that's where the Office of the Aging can be your roadmap, can be your road atlas, because we can tell you about things that can address health. We can offer services that can support that. We can offer information and referral about services that can help you with financial management or benefits that might put more money back into your pocket to allow you to deal with changes in housing or fuel costs or grocery costs. That's always been a big thing
answers
lately.
that you just can't find any old
Exactly.
place. You know, I mentioned about PBS earlier, you know, federal cuts, and the cuts happen. Are there any cuts on the horizon that's going to affect seniors right now that you're aware of? Or not that will, not might, that will? Because so many of these things could happen and others are being
Right.
challenged. So is there anything that people should kind of keep their eye on right now?
Absolutely, and this is a changing situation, a fluid situation.
That's why I
we've heard
said
before,
might,
right?
not will. Or
So we've gone through this new administration, and we've seen some of the big changes that they've made. And for our budget for this year, because some of it we just learned about this year, and then preparing for 2026, we're in the middle of budget season, things have been okay. They've been okay. I'm not going to go into big numbers and small numbers, but they've been okay, manageable. The thing that we are waiting to hear about right now is the New York State budget. They passed, a budget initially that had historic amounts targeted for aging services, and it's fantastic. Governor Hochul has done that. But with the advent of the federal budget, the states are all reevaluating what they're going to be doing. So
and stuff,
our job is to kind of keep it close to the vest as far as spending while meeting the needs of the community. But things that may affect people, things that I guess keep me up at night, are the potential changes to Medicaid, because we have a large population of our seniors that fall below the poverty line that have Medicaid, and that's supposed to be the safety net to keep people afloat in the community. So if there are changes to SNAP, which is the food stamps, what we would call food stamps back in my day, and then changes to HEAP, assistance with heating and energy. A lot of people think, wow, we live in a cold area, so heat is super important. Conversely, if you live down south, you don't have a lot of winter, but boy, in that air conditioning you need that too. That's still energy, right? So regardless of where you live, but in our case, it's usually heat that we worry about in the wintertime. If we have changes to SNAP and HEAP, then that could put a lot of people in some difficult situations.
So financial.
Absolutely.
Because the HEAP pays a certain amount of the bill, and SNAP obviously helps subsidize your grocery bill. And then, just for the record, people always get these mixed up. It took me probably 15 years to figure this out. Medicare and Medicaid are two different things, right?
Yeah.
So, a
So
lot of
both
people
came
are on
out.
Medicare.
Both came out on that Older Americans Act back in '65. But Medicare is if you're over 65, right? Or if you come in earlier for a myriad of reasons. And then Medicaid is if your income is
Right.
lower.
Two different groups.
So there are situations where you might have both. You might have Medicare and Medicaid, or you might just have Medicaid, or you might just have Medicare. But yeah, we're kind of bracing to see how these things pan out.
Okay.
Because there may be a shift in the people that are served under Medicaid, where they may no longer be served under Medicaid, and they might fall into the Office for the Aging net. And our net is already full. So our funding hasn't increased. It's been pretty much level set, and we're kind of maintaining where we are for the last 2 years. But if we get a big insurge of people needing assistance that no longer are covered under Medicaid for whatever reasons, that could really be a challenge for our office.
Is the Office for Aging Services, I got it out that time, are you required to be here as an agency?
We are a requirement of the Older Americans Act that
Okay,
we
so
be in place.
that whole thing says you got to,
Yes,
each
yes.
county has to have this.
Yes. Each state, and then each state is different. You know, if you go to another state, I just came back from the national conference, and I was always amazed to hear of an area agency on aging that's covering 10 counties or 17 counties, very rural, like in Montana or Wyoming. But in New York State, it's one in every county.
So there's one in Erie County. There's one in Cattaraugus County. And
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And if you're on the other side of New York State and you have family back here and you need information and assistance, you call New York Connects. They'll say, which one do you want? Chautauqua or
There you go.
Albany, New York, or whatever.
Wow.
You were saying how the world is so small. One of our daughters moved to North Carolina, and she texted us and said, "You won't believe it, but I just checked out of Target from a girl that was from Jamestown." So the world is a small place.
Very
so
small.
there's lots of information available. But our numbers are growing. And just to give you, I'm keeping an eye on the time there, just to keep you an idea, till about 2035, we anticipate our numbers to grow here in Chautauqua County as far as folks aging. And then, you know, there's some core services that we provide that are pretty interesting. We have a few kind of, I call them buckets of services. If you need help in the home, whether that's with a personal emergency response button that you need.
I'm falling and can't get up.
Yes, exactly. Everyone knows that one. And when I first moved here, I called them PERS, and people kept thinking I was talking about my purse.
Yeah.
You know, with a little bit of an accent. But personal emergency response alarm system, and then we have support with housekeeping. And that's not just a I'd like to have, it's I need to have because I have a challenge in standing for long periods of time, or I can't bend, or I can't, you know, reach, and I can't have the endurance with my breathing to manage these things. So there's housekeeping support, and that can include things like cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the bathroom, doing laundry, taking the trash out. Doing essential shopping, picking up prescriptions.
You know, and people are listening right now will say, well, you know, my mom or dad, they still get around and so forth, which is fine. And they still, but what happens is, over time, things start to build up. They don't get to clean as well as they used to, or they're tired. And then when you walk in, you go, holy cow, what happened here?
Things have changed.
Things have changed.
changed.
And so please keep an eye open for those. Look in the refrigerator, look in the various rooms, and don't be embarrassed. It's just one of those things they just can't do anymore.
Right.
Call you guys, get some help.
Absolutely. So we've got that service, housekeeping, and some other things. And then personal care. Sometimes people need assistance in and out of the shower, or, you know, as a nurse, I always used to say, you wash the possibles, I'll wash the impossibles. And there was a clear meaning of what needed to happen. But if people need some hands-on assistance, maybe just for safety, our services are not meant to keep people from doing things. They're meant to assist the older adult in the community in their own environment to do what they can, and then fill in what they can.
You know, I've seen a major shift over the years where, you know, and I don't mean to be crass on this, but, you know, somebody hits a certain age, you say, okay, it's time to send them to the nursing home.
Yeah.
And the shift is now is support people in their own homes.
Absolutely. That comes down to finances and the best place and environment for the individual. Obviously, if someone's in community and they need a nursing home level of care, the nursing home may be the best place for them
Right,
if
it's
they
not
don't have
automatic,
the
yeah.
supports and structure. But the return on investment for the monies invested in home and community-based services is really what we do. It's using a little bit of money to put in a little bit of help throughout the year to kind of buoy someone in place, letting them do what they can and filling in the gaps that they can't.
Right.
We don't want to take away people's autonomy. We want to support their autonomy.
Go as
and
long
make
as you
sure.
can.
Yeah. One of our biggest, I used to call it biggest bang for your buck, is the social adult day centers. We have 2 that we work with, Comfort Today, which is part of the Tanglewood Group, and Chautauqua Adult Day Services, which has 2 different locations, north and south. But they offer just a great product where people can go to them during the week, Monday through Friday, and they have a whole day of programming and things to do and people to talk to and good food and activities.
What kind of activities? Like what?
Oh my
Bingo or
goodness.
something,
Games, exercise,
Crafts?
music. They take more field trips. I think when my mom attended, because we took care of my mom in my home for 7 years, she saw more of Chautauqua than I ever did, that I still have yet to do. So just great opportunities to get connected with the community.
One of the issues, again, we talked about before the show was transportation. So someone's listening going, well, that's fine and dandy. I live in XYZ village, and how am I going to get over there? So how do they get over there?
Well, to get to the Adult Day Center, we kind of put together a quilt of care, if you will. CHQ Transit does a great job for us picking people up.
Carts?
Carts,
Okay.
yep. See, I'm used to saying their new name. I had to train my brain on
Nobody's
that
told
one.
me that one. I'm still trying to do the
CHQ
OFAS.
And then sometimes there are, families that can take people in or neighbors. So we just kind of use what's naturally available to the person. So one of the biggest things that we are seeing over and over again, and I think every community faces this, is the transportation services.
Mm-hmm.
CARTS does a great, see, I did it too. CHQ Transit did a great job through the cities, through the center, and has some through the outskirts, but there's a lot of folks that need transportation that they just don't have the access.
So if they call New York Connects, can they kind of get them started with some ideas?
We can get them all kinds of information about
super.
carts. The other thing we just did in July, we reached out to all of our volunteers, whether that was volunteer transportation, our Santa for Seniors people, our home delivered meal volunteers, and our Adult Day Center folks, and gave them tickets to go see the Tarp Skunks game, which was beautiful. Great fireworks, fellas, great fireworks that night. And we got a chance to sit out there with our table and just say, hey, thanks. Thanks so much. But one of the things we really want to do is increase our volunteers. We just did an article about it last month, and we got a couple responses, and we'll be talking more about that. But if we could get the community to help us at the Office for Aging, volunteer a couple hours a day, volunteer driving, even reception work in our offices, we would love that. And we're starting to work on kind of breathing life back into that program and getting that restarted, because we feel that that can be expanded into so many ways. We can have volunteers specially trained to do health insurance counseling, people that are good like that, people that are good with money that can help people with money management, people that love to drive, they could do transportation in county and out of county, which is great.
People are listening right now. How do they get a hold of you?
716-753-4582. We can always just have you call our New York Connects line, and they actually just sent me 2 names of folks that had responded to the article that we did. So, our whole work is set up so that we have some core services: nutrition, health and wellness, home care and caregiver support, and then information assistance, referral, and outreach to the community. And like I said, we've been doing things every month to outreach to the community and have them understand who we are and what we can do for them. We did the Ring doorbell giveaway. We've done a lot on, snow care, and what I mean by that is checking on your neighbors, making sure you're not out in the cold.
Buffalo, they call that snow angels.
Snow angels. So we're working on developing a lot of things that are coming up. We have the Red Cross going to be working with us this month on the 19th and the 21st. I'm still nailing down some hours for them, but we'd like to be able to offer people an emergency preparedness class so that they understand what they need to do, because knock on wood, I don't even want to say it out loud, no problems with power or electricity at all, but when those things happen, that's a concern as well.
That's a reality here.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened this summer, which is good, that I know of. Or what to do in the wintertime when there's storms. We're also all set up for September for flu clinics in the north and the south, again, keeping people happy and healthy. We gave out spring wellness bags this year. We did it last year with a thermometer, chicken soup, COVID test kits, gloves, masks, all that stuff. So this year in 2025, we took it a little step different, and we did pulse oximeters. and we did a thermometer, and we did a blood pressure cuff. So really, we want people to be able to monitor what's going on in their lives, know who to talk to, and we're trying to support them along the way.
Okay, once again, I am trying my darndest not to get political, but it's out there right now, and it's getting very confusing, and I'm getting a little irritated. COVID vaccines, flu vaccines, measles vaccines. You know where I'm going with this.
I do.
There's people that are saying they're not necessary and do other things. So, does the Office for Aging Services have a particular position on that to help us understand what we might, I'm not going to say should, but might consider moving forward?
Right. Well, we are a non-medical program, so we
Okay.
don't give a medical perspective, but we do know that vaccines play an important part of our life from helping us get sick as we get older, whether it's the shingles, whether it's pneumonia, whether it's flu. Those have been standard for a number of years. And as things change at the landscape at the federal level and the state level, we'll get advice from the medical directors there. And here in Chautauqua County, we'll get advice from the Department of Health.
Okay.
But we are planning to do flu vaccines,
Well,
just as
in-
we've
in-
always
In our
done.
opening comments, we still were able at this point in time to keep that out there, so if people are looking for COVID vaccines, that they can contact you guys.
We can certainly, as we become aware of information, we will certainly share it. And to date, I was at my own doctor recently, and they hadn't heard anything either. So we can always keep abreast of things changing with the Department of Health and what their recommendations are, but for right now, haven't heard any.
Okay.
So, but we do know that the flu vaccine is something that a lot of people take advantage of, and years ago they used to be done in the community and that went away. So we're happy to bring that back to make it easy for people to get their flu
And
vaccines.
generally, that's early fall?
Early fall, September, October, November.
And if someone has a question about whether they should do these vaccines, they should really talk to their doctor.
They should absolutely talk to their doctor
Because
because everyone's
it's getting
different.
confusing out there again.
It can get very confusing out there. And nobody knows you better than you, and your advice medically should come from your practitioner. So when you have questions, when you have concerns, say, what should I do this fall? What is available this fall? But we're out there doing that, and then we do our annual public hearing, which is a meeting with the public to say, this is what we've done, this is what we've served, here's where we're going. We're looking to do that September, date to be determined yet. And then November, we're looking to do a veterans event.
Okay, we have a phone call. We have just enough time. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Oh. Hi, Lynn.
How are you? Hello?
Hello, we're here.
Good morning, Linda.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry. Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Dana. I couldn't hear right away. Dana, this is Linda Spalding. It's good to see you on the show.
Thank you. It's good to hear your voice. I know your voice anywhere.
and thank you for taking care of the seniors.
Oh, my pleasure. My
and
pleasure.
I'm one of them.
Ditto.
Well, have a great weekend.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks.
thank you so much. Hey, one of the things
Bye-bye.
that we're offering, thank you, Linda, coming up is the WISE program. And that is Wellness Initiative for Senior Education. And it's going to be offered in the Sinclairville Fire Hall. We've been partnering with Prevention Works.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be partnering with UPMC Chautauqua for some of our diabetic education work. But the WISE program through Prevention Works is going to be hosting a presentation. It's 6 times you meet from October into November. So that's a really, really interesting program. It looks at a bunch of different topics about healthy aging and education. And the nice thing there is, what do we know about Sinclairville 76ers? What do they do there? They have lunch. And they have a congregate meal site. So the class is going to run from 9:30 to 10:30 there. They've got it up on the screen. Thank you, gentlemen. And you can call for the class and register. There's no charge, but there is limited seating. And look what it says down there. It says, stay for lunch at our Sinclairville 76 Dining Out site following the weekly program. So you can go, you can learn more information about how to age well, how to take care of yourself as you age with this great product called WISE through Prevention Works in the Office for Aging. So thank you for putting that up there. So just different things like that. We're hoping to really keep people involved. I know July just left us. I can't believe we're in August either. But July makes you think Christmas in July, which leads me to Santa for Seniors. So we're in our many, many years of doing Santa for Seniors with our community partners. So if you would like to volunteer or donate items. Again, call that number, New York Connects, 716-753-4582.
And with that, we're out of time. So people, we're going to come at this again. You're going to be on the show coming up again.
Yeah.
So whatever we didn't get to today, we'll get to next time. So thanks, Dana, for joining us. And
No problem.
Dana Corwin from the Office for Aging Services. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Lots going on. Hey, come on over to Westfield, and I'll be playing from 11 to 1. Say hi. All right, we're going to do this all next week from 9 to 10. And do check out Office for Aging Services. Okay, take care. Bye-bye now.